How are we doing there, boys and girls? Manthieus here, welcome back to another video. So this is a little bit of an impromptu video. I haven't particularly planned this one in any way, shape or form. This is actually the tail end of a failed blacksmithing leveling guide. But, I might as well make use of the fact that I've got a character in a really good position to showcase and actually sing some praises for Blizzard's balancing and the way that they've done the new professions in the War Within. My overall opinion is they've done a really good job of, one, listening to feedback, and two, fixing some of the problems that we had in Dragonflight with professions, especially when it comes to leveling them up. I don't know how many of you played in Dragonflight, but at the very early days, it was horrible. You would get to about skill 50, skill 60, something along those lines, and you'd just hit a brick wall. You'd hit you just get stopped dead in your tracks. You'd run out of trainer recipes and you'd feel like you had absolutely nowhere to go. They've done a really good job of sort of fixing this. I put some feedback in a few weeks to Blizzard, and I don't know if they listened to me specifically or they listened to a few other content creators' sort of perspectives on this, but I put forward the feedback that unless you went the gear crafting route, it was still horrible again. And they've come in the last couple of weeks and they've dramatically changed quite many of the professions. I'm going to highlight blacksmithing here today just because I'm in the perfect opportunity to do it. But this same concept works on some of the other professions as well. And well, what do I mean? Well, you still kind of have this mini wall, this micro wall where you run out of trainer recipes. But at least this time they've given you a few different ways that you can chip away and get your professions fully leveled up. So how do you do it in blacksmithing then? This is the kind of content that's going to be at the tail end of my leveling videos. But I'm going to highlight it for the purpose of you guys here today because it proves a point really well. One option for getting from level 60 to 100 at this point is just crafting the alloys, which is really good, really fun, something that you're going to want to do with blacksmithing. That said, you are in a little bit of a tricky situation though. You're not going to be able to produce these at very good quality just yet. But I think they've thought of that and they're clever because you don't want to be producing these top quality alloys at quality 1. We determined this on stream today that if you produce these at quality 1, so few people are going to want the quality 1 versions, you might as well put them in the bin. And because they use a very rare gathering resource, they're going to be quite expensive to make with these. These are your top tier alloys. But they've kind of thought about it. You can slowly but surely chip away. This recipe continues to give you skill points all the way up to skill 100. You'd have to make a bunch of them mined, but it is entirely possible. If you were to upgrade your materials though, what you may notice is they've very cleverly balanced this so that at the point where you run out of any other good options, you can start using better quality materials, and you'll notice here, oh, we've just crossed the threshold. Haven't got any tools, haven't done anything more than just the basic leveling in blacksmithing, yet we've guaranteed quality 2. Admittedly, it's going to take some pretty expensive components, but at least we're there. What does this mean for us, though, in terms of the War Within professions? Well, it means we can throw some concentration at it. We're not hard stuck. Sure, we can't produce massive amounts of things, but we can use our top quality materials and we can use our concentration. And every couple of days, we can make some top tier materials done. Even though we haven't, min-maxed our profession yet, it still feels useful for us, which is really good. Really, really nice to see. If we were in this same position back in Dragonflight, you'd be pulling your hair out, desperately trying to figure out, well, how do I get these final points? Because I'm just useless until you cross the finish line in Dragonflight. They've really done a good job of changing it. And this is just one direction. Maybe you don't want to go the alloy crafting route. I should also point out, I've not unlocked a single talent point here. Not a single node has been spent, and yet I still have the ability to use a little bit of my, well, to be fair, quite a lot of my concentration, but the point still stands, it's possible. Without gaining any knowledge points, without doing any tools, without doing any min-maxing. You're going to hear it a lot from me in the next couple of weeks about how to optimize and how to min-max your professions. Just because a lot of people want to know that stuff, and I've spent a lot of time testing it. But I hope this sort of starts to showcase that don't have to min-max to 110% to still feel as if your professions are going to be useful for you. Another route, if you wanted to slowly chip away at this, it's going to be an expensive one, is you could go the slow and steady route. There is a recipe called Ever Burning Ignition, which is actually all this really does is gives you a small little crafting buff. It's something you might care about as a blacksmith, but the point still stands, it's a second option. This is the slow and steady route. It's going to be much cheaper for you to craft. You get this recipe for free as well, actually. You get it just by literally unlocking the profession, unlocking the tree, mind. This recipe, it's, once again, it's going to give you skill points all the way to 100, but this has a 2-hour cooldown on it. You can only press the button once every 2 hours, but, you know, slowly but steadily, you will chip away and you'll get those 100 skill points eventually, and at least it will feel as if you've got some way to progress forward. And you may have noticed I've not mentioned the word work orders once. Neither of these are going to require you work orders, yet there is still a path to victory. So now we've found 2 paths to victory. One that's going to be quite expensive if you just throw gold at it, but you can use some concentration and some slightly better quality materials to actually produce something good straight away. Really nice. We've got a second option that's a little bit time restrictive. You can only press this button once every 2 hours. If I was to make this here, for example, you'll see that we'll get 1 skill point. And there's a cooldown of this, but it's only a 2-hour cooldown. We come back in 2 hours, we make another one of these, we press the button again, and we will slowly get there. There's a third option. There's a third option of actually then speccing into blacksmithing like you would traditionally, going the route of making gear, going the route of making weapons, and of course then it's the same old, same old. You've got you're going to be hunting for work orders to fill. There is a slight time delay on these because of course most of these work orders are spark gear. Sparks don't exist until the season starts, but additionally, once again, another improvement is the patron order system. It may not be perfectly reliable. I may not be the biggest fan of the patron order system, but it showcases, once again, it's another option. It's really, really taking away from that feeling of you just being stuck and not knowing how to progress, and worse than that, feeling like you've spent the time and effort to level up and now it's useless to you until you magically find a bunch of orders. I think it's quite clever. I do feel as if I might be slightly rambling here, as this was, like I said, an impromptu video, but I hope this starts to highlight to you that even when you get to that sort of, you've run out of trainer recipes stage, they've thought about it and they've put some care into it and they've made sure that there are some things that you can do that you can chip away, and even if it's albeit at a limited quantity, you can still start producing some really good stuff without hyper min-maxing, which I think is really, really clever. So I'll leave this video here for today, boys and girls. My leveling guides have started. You'll have seen 2 on the channel already. There's going to be more of those coming in the next few days, as we are like literally 2 weeks away from the expansion launch now. It's time to get that information out there. And of course, all of this information plus much more, even those little options that I talked about for blacksmith leveling, they're all in my guide. I'm going to do a little shameless promo. I've put a little bit of time, quite a lot of time and effort into this guide over the last few weeks. This is available to my gold goblins over on Patreon. Check it out if you haven't already. Most people have said it's pretty good. What more can I say? But anyway, there we go, boys and girls. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts on this in the description, in the comment section down below. Hit the subscribe button if you're new around here, and I'll catch you all next time. Peace.